Welcome to Missouri Mayhem, Mystery, and Murder. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 2. But before we dive into our first ever case, let's catch up a little bit. What have you been doing lately, Megan?
Yeah, let's catch up a little bit. Let's see. Honestly, the last week or so, I've been applying to sub at a few places, and I actually have a few sub jobs lined up. Yes.
Oh.
Starting with high school English, so I'm excited.
Good for you. Money.
Yeah, what about you?
I went to a wedding last weekend.
Oh, that's right.
It was beautiful, my niece, and so that was a lovely time.
She got married in a glass chapel.
She did. She got married in the glass chapel at Eureka Springs.
Oh, I've heard that's so beautiful.
Yes, it was. It was absolutely perfect. So,
awesome.
Just doing that and just, enjoying the last bits of summer.
I know. And of course, preparing for our podcast.
I know.
We've definitely been busy doing that.
Yes.
And we got ourselves pumped up a little bit this morning when you came
We
over.
did. We got some music going on. We had to listen to a little break stuff by Limp Bizkit to get us going. So if you've heard that song, you would know why.
Yeah, if you know on that song, right?
Yes. And while we're in here in the closet, I just want to say that I'm going to steal this from you.
Hey.
And that from you.
Hey.
And I really like this sparkly thing. So.
And again, if you know, sisters' clothes.
Yeah.
Oh. Mindy had the best stuff.
Oh.
Yes, but she was known for taking a few things and heading back to Warrensburg with them.
Yeah, and then getting stains on them. Sorry about that.
Yes, we still come to you from the closet here in Kansas City. So, yeah, all right. Well, do you think we're ready to jump into this first case?
I know we've been preparing for a while. I think we're ready. Let's just do it.
Same. I do too.
Okay.
So, before we get started, I do kind of want to change gears here. This is a true crime podcast. And so, we are deemed what we would call an explicit podcast. Of course, anytime you're talking about someone's death and that kind of thing, there are going to be gruesome facts and it's going to be a little bit hard to hear. So we do want to let people know that in case anything in our episodes, there may be some triggers, and we try to, especially when we're giving graphic or more detailed descriptions of things, to give you a heads up as well. So we also, a lot of the stuff is really shocking. So don't be surprised if we do pop out a F-bomb.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that ahead of time.
And oh shit. Or, it's going to happen.
It
is.
Sorry.
We're not going to just throw them left and right, but it might happen. So, yeah. So anyways, are we ready? All right.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Our first ever true crime podcast case.
Ooh, let's talk about some things that happened in 2001.
Oh, okay. That's a great idea. Our case today does take place in the year 2001, or at least that's where we get started. So let's kind of set the stage. That's something we've kind of talked about. I don't know if you do or not. When you hear the year or date that something happened, you kind of in your mind go back to what was happening in the world at that time, or what was I doing? So, of course, in 2001, sadly, we know the September 11th attacks happened, of course. And in 2001, Apple's first iPod.
That's very interesting.
Came out. And I can remember those. And then Wikipedia.
I had one. I think someone stole it out of my car.
I think Terry won one of his at work. It was like a raffle giveaway.
Oh, yeah. The little tiny ones?
Yes, I think we still have it. But Wikipedia launched in 2001 too. And I can remember when that started, people are like, you cannot use that as a source. Do not go to that for any information.
It's not credible. Now it's so credible, I think.
Yeah, or at least it seems
seems to be, yes.
Exactly. It seems to be pretty credible. And then for all you Harry Potter lovers out there, the first Harry Potter movie came to the theater. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. When we talk about Kansas City, the Kansas Speedway officially opened in 2001. When it came to our Royals and our Chiefs, Royals had a tough season, 65 and 97 in 2001. And the Chiefs also had a challenging season, mainly because of the player strikes. So, yeah. And then one thing I did find when looking into 2001, another very in the news case that year was the murder of Erica Green. Don't mind my dogs.
Yeah, that's going to happen as well.
It is. Just ignore them. But the murder of Erica Green, and at that time, she was known as Precious Doe. So that might ring a bell for you. And that's a case we may cover in the future. But
Sorry.
Jojo, you want to come in?
Let her in.
Okay, let her in. Come on. Or out. Or
come on.
You can just maybe keep it correct. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. So, anyways, things happening in 2001. So, are we ready to get going? Good job, JoJo. Our first take. No, it's okay. It's okay. So, here we go.
Tell us the story, Meg.
All right, let's get into it. So first, I want to give a big shout out to Andrea. And you know who you are, Andrea, out there for recommending this case to us. Andrea and I went to high school together, and she's been a big support of our show already. So a big thank you.
She has recommended a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good cases. So we appreciate that. So, okay, here we are. We're getting into it. One April day in 2001, retired trucker Ronald Telfer pulled into the Kearney, Missouri truck stop at the intersection of Interstate 35 and Highway 92.
We all know where that is.
Absolutely. You can picture that in your mind. And Ronald Telfer was curious about something. And to you, you may not understand this, but around a month earlier, he had been in the Kearney truck stop area and he had spied a white plastic bucket just kind of pushed and abandoned in the back parking lot. And here it is a month later, and he saw that bucket again. Now,
at the same place.
At the same place. And for those of you who are thinking, who remembers a white bucket a month later?
But I don't know.
Because, I mean, for those of you who need and use white buckets, you can't ever find one when you need one. Yeah, you know,
bucket.
You can use that for so many things. And so in Missouri, you know, you can use that to put baseballs in. You can use that in the back of your truck to collect junk. You could use that again for paint. It's like sit on, play the drums.
Yeah.
You know, who whatever.
Yeah. that does work.
You know, but I'm just saying, so that may sound odd to some people, but he had spied this plastic bucket. And so he went over and he's like, you know what, I may pick that up and use that. And when he did, he saw it was filled with concrete. And now that he saw there was concrete in it and that bucket was still there, he's like, you know what? I think I could use this bucket, but I've got to get that concrete out of there. So he just slammed it down on the pavement.
Oh my goodness.
And when he did that, this terrible odor wafted up from the bucket.
Let me guess, because there was a head in the bucket.
Well, Ronald's not sure what's in it at this point.
Ew.
So the top cracked off a little bit of the cement, and he could see something that he felt looked like meat or skin. But in his mind, and it smelled bad, but he's like, okay, hair, skin, smelling bad, it's probably an animal.
I bet the whole area smelled bad.
Well, you would think. But he's like, you know what? It's probably just an animal. And so it was like a big chunk of concrete had just kind of come out of the bucket all in one piece and kind of was crumbling. And he just kind of kicked it to the side.
Okay.
He thought it was an animal.
So he hit it against something. He smelled something funky, and then he just discarded what was in the bucket.
Yeah.
And
okay. Basically, he threw it down. Whatever was in it kind of came out. What he smelled, saw, and heard didn't alarm him, obviously enough. But yeah, he actually used that bucket and went home and used it for feeding his pigs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So months later, on August 27th,
he was in desperate need of a bucket.
Well, he was like, I'm not going to let a good bucket go to waste. Yeah. So here we are months later on August 27th, really hot time of the summer. Construction worker Franklin Ray Dean had ended up in the same parking lot that Ronald had been in months earlier. Mm-hmm. It was really humid. It was hot. Again, one of the hottest summer days yet. And he kind of was looking around, and there was a big cylinder of concrete, kind of a blocking his path where he wanted to park.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm going to see what that is. So he jumped out of his truck, and when he went over to kind of push it away with his foot, he saw hair.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was pretty sure that it was part of a human skull protruding out the top.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, what would you do in that situation?
Well, I think I would probably stand there for a solid 5 minutes and just stare at it.
Oh my gosh.
Not even knowing what to do. And then I would have called the police. I'm guessing. I don't know. What would you do?
Yeah, same. I think I would have immediately probably went in the truck stop and just said, hey, I guess, I mean, how shocking. And, my guess is from the time that Ronald found it and then that Franklin Ray Dean found it, it had started to erode away and you could see more, sadly, of what was in there. Mm-hmm. So, okay, deep breath. So, yes, Kearney Police Detective, hit my elbow in the closet. Fred Ferguson arrived. Kearney Police Detective Fred Ferguson. And as he started to look through the concrete chips on this block of concrete, he could definitely see what appeared to be a human jaw.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, was coming out. And he said in his mind, it looked like an artifact from an archaeological dig, like
yes.
And so Ferguson made a mental note that whoever this belonged to, for sure, had a lot of dental work and bridge work done. And so, this discovery of this concrete and a jaw and a skull, this is going to set off a series of events that's going to span 5 years and 4 states, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and is going to include a web sleuth, so an at-home web sleuth, and law enforcement to solve a case with a ticking clock going. And sorry for the dinging. That's my husband wishing us good luck. There's lots of little things here.
Well, you just haven't figured out all the little things
yet. But so, this is crazy.
And dental work, it never lies. So, and that's why enforcement says, hey, do you have dental records of the person that's missing?
Yes.
Because that's what they're going to be looking for when they find a body.
I also wonder too, if seeing that he'd had a lot of bridge work and dental work, does that equate to like someone who took good care of himself?
Yes.
His teeth to, sometimes that victim profiling and things, like that they try to do and figure out kind of about the person. So interesting. Yeah. So, okay. So we've discovered this, what we're deeming as a skull in the semen and carny. Let's rewind just a little bit.
Okay.
And let's learn a little bit about Gregory May. Okay. So 8 months earlier in Bellevue, Iowa, and let me just say, as I was doing research, there are lots of Bellevues in the United States, a bunch. And this is Bellevue, Iowa, not Nebraska. So, and this is about a town of about 2,300 people. So very small, similar to the town we came from.
Yes.
And it's about 400 miles from Kearney. So 400 miles north, you've got this little town of Bellevue, Iowa. And Jan Buman and her boyfriend, Gregory May, were talking about Florida on this day. And
just talking about wanting to go there?
Yes. Yes. Talking about Florida and how wonderful it is there and the weather and how maybe they could possibly move there.
Okay.
And Gregory May is a 55-year-old man. He has really pretty blue eyes. He has thick, sandy hair. And 6 months earlier, he had moved to Bellevue from Wisconsin. And his hair was starting to gray. And he was just, like a lot of men do, naturally aging in a handsome way. And he had led a somewhat interesting kind of dual existence. He was a huge, well-known, well-respected tattoo artist, but he was also a big, big collector of 19th century antiques.
Oh.
So he had this tattoo persona. He had this collector persona. So it was really, really
So he was a tattoo artist / antique person.
Yes.
And
a
loved
collector.
Civil War. Yes.
And he owned tattoo shops and really had the reputation in Missouri and in the Midwest, especially, as being the fastest, most talented tattoo artist at the time. And he worked with people all over. And I thought this was so interesting. He even taught his wife at the time. Her name was Sheila. They weren't married anymore at the time of this story, but he even taught her how to be a female tattoo artist. And she ended up specializing in permanent makeup, like permanent eyebrows and permanent eyeliner.
Yes.
She was one of the first ones to do this in the world.
Really?
And people,
his girlfriend?
His wife.
Or his wife.
Sheila.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was such a good tattoo artist. He taught her how to do that. And she had a salon in LA and people flocked there, celebrities, I guess, and things back in the day. So I don't know. I thought that
permanent
was kind
makeup.
Yes. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people who wear permanent makeup right now, and so
I do too, but we would never tell.
No, but it is a cool invention.
It is.
Yeah. So, okay. So
not going to do that, but it is.
It is. Yeah. So Greg May, he had been long divorced from Sheila, the one he had taught to be a tattoo artist as well. And he'd been dating Jan Buman, who actually lived pretty close to Bellevue, Iowa, in a town across the river called Galena, Illinois. And they had become good friends over shared meals and drinks. And they had there in Bellevue, there was a riverfront bar down the street from the 2-story aluminum-sided house that he was renting. So May was renting a house in town.
So they were renting, him and Jan, or she was just dating? They're just dating.
They're just dating. Okay. Yes, they're just dating. But she lives in a little town that's close. And so I think they kind of, met in that kind of social circle.
Yes.
The bar scene kind of. So an LA Times reporter later described May as 6 feet tall and distinguished looking, conservative in his politics and polite in his manner. A lot of people believed he was drawn to Bellevue, Iowa, because he loved the Mark Twain stories about growing up on the Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people felt that it kind of would breathe life into his Civil War things, being on the Mississippi and
kind of actually trying to live it.
Yeah, just living it. And, and they were, So, again, lived and breathed all things antiques and especially Civil War. And
he was tired of our weather.
Yeah, he moved from Wisconsin to Bellevue, Iowa. And he's like, you know what? I don't know. What am I doing? You know, he's like, I think maybe we need to look for somewhere a little bit warm. And so although he'd only been living there about, he'd been living there 6 months.
Yeah.
And let's kind of think about that again. Bellevue, Iowa, we said about 2,300 people. So he's been living there 6 months. But what I found out in my research is very few locals knew much about him. What is your take on that?
Well, he was either just very to himself, and he liked it that way, or just how people are. You have how many people live in this town?
2,300.
They kind of gang up together, and when a new person comes in, you want to know everything about them. They're coming to our town,
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know.
So it's not unfathomable that people didn't know much about him.
No, he could have very much been a very private person, and
absolutely.
You could be very private.
Yeah. So according to Stephanie Simon, a Seattle Times staff writer, May had lived there only a matter of months. Few in Bellevue knew him, even to exchange small talk. If they had heard of him all, it was in the gossip in town that
that's definitely true.
Small town. The gossip had whipped around through town that May had inquired about opening a new tattoo parlor in town. But the proposal, sadly, was quickly shot down as to not keeping with the Bellevue's clean cut.
Ew.
I know.
That's
clean
kind
cut
of jerky.
Image. I know. I'm like, come on.
Clean cut. I mean, lots of clean cut people have tattoos.
Like staring right at each other.
Like you. And our mother and our father.
Everybody our husband. Yes. So, so listen to this. Okay. So Bellevue City Administrator Laura Herrig said, it sounds sort of mean, but he wasn't considered one of us.
She said that.
Yeah.
She said he wasn't considered one of us.
Yes. I'm not sure if it's he or she, but
he had moved there, invested money, probably in a house or renting.
He's
renting. Helping with the local economy, and that's what she says about him. That is harsh.
I'm like, that's so exactly. He just hadn't been there long enough to really put down roots.
Right.
I mean, come on, 6 months. So okay, this is important. We're kind of setting the stage here. So on Thursday, January 11th, 2001, Jan was so excited and happy about the future. They had been having these discussions about
Florida.
Yes, about moving to Florida. And they had spent the last 3 days kind of really trying to wrap up loose ends.
And so they were really going to do it.
Yeah, they're really thinking, they're like, we're doing this. So the last 3 days with May, they're just like, okay, they're leaving only to get some clean clothes. And May was going to go meet with his chiropractor one last time before they left town and say goodbye to some friends in Dubuque, Iowa. Yeah. So right before she left the house, again, finishing up some things, Jan, Gregory, and Gregory's housemate, a burly ex-bouncer with a walrus mustache. Jan knew this person as Duke. So Duke, Jan, and Gregory are outside having a smoke. Jan knew Greg had been friends with Duke for more than 30 years.
Greg and Duke had been friends for more than 30 years?
He's a fellow tattoo artist.
Okay, so that's how they connected?
Correct. And 30 years is a long friendship.
That is a very long friendship.
Yes. And so come to find out, Duke and his girlfriend Julie rent the basement out of the house that May's renting.
Okay, so they live in the basement
of this house.
Of Greg May.
Correct. So they're renting out this 2-story house, and Duke and his girlfriend live in the basement. And yeah, Greg and Duke had been friends, it looked like, for like 30 years. Greg had inked a lot of the designs. There are pictures, and we'll kind of talk about too when we find pictures and things and how we're going to share those with our listeners. But some pictures of the 2 tattoos on his forearms, those are tattoos that Greg actually did for him. So they were good friends. But anyways, they're out back having a smoke here on January 11th.
Duke and Greg and the girlfriend.
Yes. And so
Julie is her name.
Yeah, now Julie's not out there. It's just Jan, Greg, and Duke.
Oh, okay.
Outside smoking.
Got it.
And so Jan remembers one time, just not too long ago, telling Gregory, I don't trust that Duke. She just had a bad feeling about him from the first get-go.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. And again, when they were having this conversation, this is prior, Greg said, well, I don't trust Julie. So one's saying, I don't trust Duke. One's saying, I don't trust Julie.
Oh, so they're having this talk and they both don't trust
the
people that are living in the basement.
Correct. And this is a few weeks or so before this moment outside, that they're all out there having that smoke, and says there that that winter night, Jan kisses Gregory goodbye. And as she walks off, Duke shoots her a really mean look, which she ignores. Mm-hmm. And she calls out to Gregory, see you at 8.
Why do I feel like she did not see him at 8?
Well, because I think you have a really good intuition.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think she ever dreamed that this would potentially be the last time she talks to Greg.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And what makes it even harder is, again, sounds like they were having some interesting suspicions already about some things.
Yeah.
So, okay. So at around 8 in the evening on January 11th,
so
2001, same day, Jan said, I'll see you at 8.
And she was excited still.
Oh yeah, she was excited. So she parked there in the rear area of North Riverview Street, and she went to the back door. And to her surprise, the door was locked because Greg had said, I'll leave the door unlocked for you. So she's like, what the heck? So she rings the doorbell. No answer. She's like, well, fine. I'm going to walk around to the front door. Maybe he just forgot. Knocked on the front door. Nobody comes to the front door. Well, there was a window there next to the front door. And when the shades are completely drawn, but sometimes there's just like a little crack at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like Jan was kind of looking at the bottom
through a crack.
Kind of through a crack, yeah. And she could see Greg, but just from the waist down. And he was sitting, unmoving, in a kitchen chair, legs crossed, and his hands on his lap. And she can't see from waist up, so she can't see his face, but she can see that he's sitting in a chair.
So he looks alive?
Correct. She's like, he's sitting there, hands are in his lap, his legs look crossed. Mm-hmm. Well, Jan recognized Duke's girlfriend, Julie Johnson.
Who lived in the basement.
Who's living in the basement. A slight, pale woman with cropped dark hair, and I just picture this, oversized tinted glasses. Yes. Aren't you just picturing that? Totally. And she was pacing near Gregory, like she was nervous about something.
When you say near, you mean like here,
in the kitchen area,
right by him? Okay.
Yes, but again, she can't see, facial expressions and things, but she sees that Julie's pacing and nervous, and she also sees that she's wiping off something, but she can't see, like on her pants, on it, like she's trying to get something off of her.
I think we know what that is.
What do you think that is?
Well, I'm thinking blood.
Yeah, like what's happening here? I mean, is he alive in that chair? What's happening, Yeah. So feeling a bit irritated and disappointed that the door wasn't unlocked. They're not answering. They're in there doing something. And why aren't they answering the door?
Why won't they let me in?
Yeah, so she's like, come on. So she's like, I'm just going to go down to the Frontier Cafe where they were going to go.
Okay.
She goes, I'm going to have some soup and a beer, and then I'll call the house. So while she's down there at the Frontier Cafe, she calls the house, and the answering machine picks up. And she says, why won't you answer the door?
Yeah.
Are you mad at me? That's her exact message. Why won't you answer the door? Are you mad at me? She pleaded. So she finishes her food. She's like, I guess I'm going to go stop by again. So
he sounds like the type of guy who wouldn't be angry or mad. I don't know. He just seems like a pleasant man.
Well, I think she realizes, like, it doesn't sound like he's one to stand her up.
No.
And so I think she's confused.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. So she's like, I'm going to go back to the house. We're guessing it's been an hour or so, maybe a little bit more. This time, she didn't see anything through that open shade where she could see stuff
Greg
before.
was gone.
Right. She couldn't see anything in there at this
Nothing.
point. Nobody or anything. But she could hear thumps and crashes.
As she's standing outside the front door.
She hears like booms and and in her mind, what she instantly went to was, man, Greg is really mad about something. If he's in there stomping around,
he's not
like
answering
that.
the phone. She's leaving a message.
Yes.
Okay.
She's like, if he's in there stomping around and slamming doors like that, then
what did I do wrong?
Yeah. Or what is he so mad about? What's happening in there that he's so mad that he's doing that? So she was concerned enough that she did call the property manager and said, can you come let me in? Like, I'm knocking, no one's answering, but they're in there. I don't know what's going on. And guess what?
What?
What do you think the property manager said?
He didn't come help him, did
he? No. Property manager said, well, do you live there? No. Is this like a huge emergency? Well, I don't think so, but well, then sorry, I can't let you in. And from what I can read and from what I get on research, like the property manager didn't even come over to inquire what was wrong. So she got back.
Great property manager.
I know. So she's like, I don't know what to do. So she's freezing. Again, it's the beginning of January. So she just got back in her truck and she thought,
she's thinking things just went wrong between us or something.
She's like, man, what happened between us having that cigarette out back and then now? So yeah, she definitely thought, why would he be so angry for the noises that were coming inside? So,
well, I would have thought the same thing.
Me too. So here we are 3 days later, the next Sunday. So now we're at January 14th. So Thursday to Sunday.
So it's been 3 days.
Correct. Julie Johnson informs Jan on the phone that Gregory has gone to Chicago and said he didn't want Jan to join him in Florida after all. He's going to Chicago.
Oh, no, this confirms that she thought that he was mad at her.
Well, I mean, that's what she's probably like, what?
Yeah.
Like, seriously? And so it was probably like, oh, yeah, really? And inside, like, mad and confused and questions. Yeah. So she's like, okay. So again, that's on Sunday, January 14th. So 3 days later, after that, she's like, I'm going to drive by the house and see what's going on. Like, this feels weird, because she thought for sure, I think he would contact her
somehow.
Yes, and he hadn't. So here we go. A few more days later, she drives by. His car's gone. His furniture's gone. All his Civil War memorabilia is gone.
He was first. So on the 11th of January is when they think this happened.
Correct.
So it's been 3 days. And so now it's the 14th.
When she gets the call from Julie that he doesn't want her to go anymore and he's going to Chicago.
So they've had 3 days to do whatever they needed to do in that house.
And then it looks like, and then 3 more days later. So now we're talking about like Wednesday the 17th is when she goes by the house.
Okay.
So they've had almost a week now.
Okay. Wow.
So she sees no car, no furniture, doesn't look like anything's in the house. And poor Jan. I mean, can you imagine being her being like, what the hell? And
I have been dumped so hard. And he won't even, like, he's even taken my stuff probably.
And she said, this is not the first time. She said, I've been dumped in a mean way.
Yeah.
So she said, honestly, she goes, I didn't think he was that way or that Greg May was a coward. He was a really good guy. And she's like, I just couldn't understand that he would leave and not even say goodbye.
Yeah, that does not sound, from what we're learning about him, that he would do something like that at all.
No, not at all. So, okay. So
he was not a coward.
No. So in the meantime, in mid-January, around this same time, Greg May's son, Don, who's in his 30s at this time, was starting to get worried.
So this is after a couple weeks.
So this is around the same time all this is happening in Iowa. This is mid-January. So about the same time, like Don starts to get worried because some days are going by and he hasn't heard from his dad.
Yeah.
So the last time he actually saw his dad had been at his grandpa's funeral in Chicago the previous April. So it had been quite some time since he had actually seen his dad in person, because Don lived in California. But Don and his sister Shannon and Sheila, their mom, and Greg, even though the parents were divorced in this situation, they still stayed connected. as a family.
Yes.
And to me, that says a lot about who Greg was.
Oh my goodness, it says a lot about who Greg was.
The fact that his ex-wife still, they had a good relationship.
Mhm.
I mean, and so Don and his sister Shannon, again, both in their 30s, they had not heard from their dad in about 2 weeks. And, 2 weeks, it all depends on who you are.
If I hadn't heard from my dad in
Right.
4 days, or maybe even 2, I'd be calling the police.
And, and it's different, different families, like the span you go between talking to each other.
Well, the dynamics are different with every family. Yeah.
But it sounds like, they heard from him at least every couple weeks, but they also knew that he was a big, kind of nomad.
Yes.
Yeah.
A wanderer.
Yes. He'd lived in like 40 or 50 different places in his lifetime. Gregory had.
I was wondering that because as we tell this story, he has
feel that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely liked to travel around and see different places, but they were concerned enough that they had changed their voice answering machines to say, "Dad, if this is you, leave us a message." So they were concerned enough that they didn't want to miss a call from him.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've really learned in recording and researching these cases is that that's common for a lot of people of missing family members to do that on their answering machines.
Yes,
and I think that's
just in case they call so they know. Yes.
Yeah, I watched a show the other day and the mom was like, "Christina, if this is you, we love you. You're not in trouble. Please come home."
Come back.
Yeah, and that's just heartbreaking. But
yeah.
Anyway, but it wasn't uncommon for them to get a message, sometimes a week or two later saying, "Hey, I'm at a new address and here's my new number." So they're trying not to get too concerned. He did do a lot of traveling too when he was out looking for and collecting his Civil War memorabilia.
I mean, he was a floater.
Yeah, he was
for
traveler.
him to not talk to them for a couple of weeks, probably, I mean, he was, he's always traveling on the road doing his thing. And
yes,
we're not super worried about him at this point.
No, they're like, okay, like we're not going to call in the police or anything yet.
He was a floater. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in addition, he had also told some friends that he was thinking about moving to Florida. And so people knew that was an option. And so, when Bellevue, Iowa had turned down his request to open that tattoo shop, they thought, well, maybe he's unreachable because he's looking into other locations. Maybe he's planning on trying to open one in Florida or somewhere else. So, but as we do with our intuition and that gut feeling, Don could not shake. Don, Greg's son, that something.
You should always listen to that feeling.
That intuition.
Yes.
And for Don, the last straw came in mid-February. So mid-February, we go kind of 1 month forward here from mid-January when they hear or find out from the phone company that Greg May's phone has officially been disconnected.
Okay. That says a lot.
Yes. And so in mid-February of 2001, Don and Shannon May, they're like, we are flying from Santa Monica, where they lived in California, to Iowa, and we are filing a missing persons report with Bellevue police.
Because you have to do it in that town.
Correct. Because that's where he was a resident at the time and living, and that's where, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, they're probably thinking, okay, we need help, we think now. This is turning.
He's not around.
Yeah, and he would not disconnect. I'm sure they're thinking.
The longer we wait.
Yes. He's not going to disconnect a phone and not get another one to have contact with us.
He was their dad.
Exactly.
He was a good guy, as we stated earlier. I don't think he would just, up and
vanish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, soon after the discovery of the skull in the bucket at the Kearney truck stop, Kearney police enlisted a cadaver dog to scour, of course, the whole area there, and they didn't find anything else. Nothing else.
Well, that's good.
I mean, that is good. Later, dogs trained to pick up the scent of human cadavers would detect a scent in an older model black Volvo that they found. But the car that had the same scent from the bucket was 100 miles away from Kearney. And
so what? Why didn't they go get it?
Well, and it was in a junkyard, getting ready to be junked. And this car, it's going to be years before this car is related to the skull that they found at Kearney.
Okay.
Isn't it crazy how things like that work? So no scent of anything else in Kearney, but hundreds of miles down the road, a black Volvo, a dog hit on something there. So,
and cadaver dogs do not lie.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing to watch in action.
Crazy.
So the Kearney police sent the skull to a forensic odontologist, which is like teeth.
Yes.
Yes.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah.
And basically it's a dentist who uses their expertise to identify victims.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Wow. And he's also an anthropologist who hoped the face had left an impression in the contour of the concrete like a mold, but no such luck, because listen to this. The head, whoever had done this, had covered the head with a stocking cap. So they were not able.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think?
You know,
do you think it was because they didn't want to look at what they were
that's
getting ready
what
to
I
do?
think.
They wanted to just cover his face,
yes,
so they wouldn't have to see him when they did that.
That was my first thought, was that like they do not want to have to see and keep looking at what they've done. They don't want to have to. Yeah, I think it's a oh my gosh, yeah, moment.
Yeah,
and yeah, awful. So yeah, they were able to, though, determine that the skull belonged to someone in the age range of 40 to 60, which is amazing. They can do that. And it was a man. They were sure of that. And had this man between 40 and 60 had really good teeth and extensive dental work. So again, that victim profiling.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, they know basic age, they know general habits in terms of, again, hygiene and things. It's interesting how they can profile.
And the anthropologist part, basically anthropologists study all aspects of humanity, past, present, and future. So they use that. Yeah. You mentioned that, the anthropology.
Yeah, that's okay. Very interesting.
They use that to find victims now.
Yes. I just think that would be a really cool job, that victim. I know there's so many shows and things out there now, like CSI about that, but that's so cool.
I have no doubt you would solve every case.
Oh my God. Yeah, sure. Okay, so May, but that's so sweet of you to say. May moved what friends told a lot of people between what they called two worlds. A friend told LA Times he moved between two worlds. He had an eagle tattooed on one shoulder, and he had the picture of a picture of a clipper ship on the other.
What's a clipper ship?
Well, I think is a ship from like
Civil War.
Yes, times.
Okay.
I think it's a battleship, a type of battleship. And so although his collection of Civil War rifles, okay, listen to this. He had a collection of Civil War rifles, swords, uniforms, muskets, Western movie posters, photographs, and documents. So valuable. Like, I mean, he was collecting, and you'll find out a little bit more about that here in a minute, some really interesting things.
How much money do you think he had invested in all that?
We'll find out. Okay. Well, you will find out shortly.
Goodness. And he loved that stuff.
He loved it, and he took such good care of it, and he was very good about sharing it with other members
house
of
was
that.
Probably like a museum.
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, it sounds, and again, I saw some cool pictures of some of his memorabilia.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's interesting though, they said like he was not a flashy dresser. They said any given moment you saw him, he had on a straw cowboy hat, denim jacket, and gentleman's loafers. Aww. So he's like, not flashy. And they said that the Times reported that May strolled Bellevue's Riverside Street with Duke, his friend of 30 years and fellow tattoo artist. Duke also, just keep in mind, went by the name of Moose sometimes. And if Duke was tattooed, they said like arms, thighs, lots of tattoos. But the two basically there in, not in Bellevue, but across the river, found jobs at a tattoo parlor in Illinois together.
And so they call Duke Moose.
Right. So he went by Duke. Sometimes he went by Moose.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but some people did get to know him a little bit because they would shoot pool regularly there at a pool bar in Illinois. And they often would be seen together at the Frontier Cafe, same cafe Jan went to when she went to eat and wait to hear from Gregory. And waitresses got to know him, well enough that they described May as quiet and friendly, but reserved. And Duke was the boisterous one, always cracking jokes. But that the two of them really just kind of stayed to each other. They played pool together, sat and talked. And so although they kind of knew them, it sounds like they kind of stuck to themselves too.
Yeah.
So, so they did say, some of the people that knew them in this scene, that after Duke's girlfriend, Julie Johnson, came to town, and I'm not for sure how long she'd been in town with them, But after she moved to town and moved in with them, that the waitresses did start to notice a big change in Duke.
Once Julie had arrived?
Yeah, which is interesting that, Duke had always been the outspoken one and kind of boisterous and a joker. And they said when Julie came to town, they really started noticing like Julie and him would just go pick a booth in the corner and they would just sit there real quiet, whispering, talking.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were
super weird.
Yeah. And they were leaving Gregory out.
Oh, and he was sitting there with them?
Well, it didn't really say that. It just kind of basically said, though, that they those two started isolating themselves.
From him?
From Gregory. And like, they noticed.
And they're living in his basement.
Yes.
It's not isolating very well.
Right. Well, yeah. And I think just talking about from what they saw, their behavior, in this bar, go from, okay, they're two friends playing pool, having fun.
To,
suspicious. Mm-hmm. So, thought that was very strange. So, anyways, back to Don May, Gregory's son. He said, my father didn't mince words. He said,
he sounds like a man that would not mince words.
I know. He's like, my dad did not mince words. He said, he described Julie as a sneaky bitch. And that's a lot.
Who said that?
Yeah. So Don May, his son, Greg's son, said
Julie is a sneaky bitch.
Well, Don said that my dad told me one time. My dad doesn't mince words. And my dad told me one time that Julie was a sneaky bitch. And that's a lot coming from a man who did not use profanity, hardly ever. So, So Don, as a teenager, had met Duke / Moose back in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and recalled him as a sketchy character who would turn from jovial to sharp-tongued without warning.
So we've got a sneaky bitch with a sketchy character.
Yes. Don said that he suspected that his dad felt sorry for Duke and that his dad was a very, very trusting man, but occasionally Don felt his generosity was misguided. So, Don suspected this was something where this relationship had been fostered in a way that he was kind of a father figure to Duke.
Yes.
Which makes me sad.
It does. I know. So far, he just seems like a really nice person, and
I know
this is sad.
He's just an adventurer. Mm-hmm. He's an artist. He's creative. He's willing to open a place and let someone stay with him, and but it's also interesting to know that although he's kind of sitting back, he's not super outspoken. That inside, in his mind, he's like, I don't trust that Julie. She's a sneaky bitch.
Yeah.
So and he knew. Yeah. So, I mean, we're getting some red flags here for sure.
Sketchy, what you said, sketchy character?
Yeah.
For Duke?
For Duke, yeah. He said, he called him a sketchy character.
Yeah.
He could turn jovial to sharp tongue without warning.
I think that is a very good description of him, I believe. Yeah. I don't know him, but
it seems like it might be.
Yeah.
So here's a direct quote from a book I used for a lot of research, and I'll refer to that again later, but the book's called The Skeleton Crew. It's about how amateur sleuths help solve cold cases for police.
Is that the one by Deborah Halber?
Yes. And it came out in 2015. Really good. So and she addresses several cases where pretty much online web sleuths have helped solve the cases. And actually, we're going to hear a little bit about that with this case. So hear a little bit about, with this case. Okay. So here we go. This is a direct quote from that book. Although Greg May grew up in Lake Forest, a swanky Chicago suburb, and Mindy and I have driven by that.
Yes. So suburb. Lake Forest, Illinois is just a little suburb, not that far from Chicago, but it is a very, 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 very nice place. And when we went with our grandparents a long time ago, they took us to Chicago, and we went to this town. We were taking pictures, and it took us 2 shots to get one house.
Yes.
Like, that's how big the houses were. So
yes,
it was Lake Forest is a very, very, still to this day, very nice, swanky Chicago suburb.
Yeah. A lot of like professional athletes, that kind of actors.
Mr. T.
That's right. Mr. T. Yeah. There was some of the Chicago Bears. Yeah. So he grew up in a really nice Chicago suburb.
Yes.
But, he moved easily amongst all kinds of different crowds. So he could have, he could mingle with a conservative crowd of Civil War buffs who would go to antique shows and museums, and his love of tattooing would kind of suck in a crowd similar to Duke, maybe some ex-cons or people trying to kind of get back straight, and he welcomed that too. Sure. So, a lot, which I didn't know this until I did some of this research, and I have tattoos, but I had no clue. Like, a lot of tattoo artists are really secretive about their craft.
Why?
Well, because it's a big skill and talent, and like, it's like
I
giving
cannot imagine trying to tattoo someone. I would be so
permanent.
scared. Permanent
body. I know. And this, but from what it sounds like, you know, you don't want to give away your tools and your secrets, but what sets
like
you
your
apart.
recipe.
Yes. So he was, you know, a lot of artists are secretive, but Gregory told Duke and taught Duke all of his tricks and trade. He was very open with Duke. And I thought this was interesting. Again, this is a direct quote, so it is going to sound like I'm reading straight from here. But this quote said, you know, many tattoo artists are secretive about their craft, but Gregory May taught Duke about shading and coloring, showed him the machines, showed him how to sterilize the needles, how to push the foot pedal with just the right amount of pressure to pierce the skin, even with solid lines, so they wouldn't get what they called holidays or gaps, but not so deeply as to cause excessive pain and bleeding. Says finally, Gregory would have shown him how to gently dab away drops of blood or plasma and bandage the new raw tattoo with clean gauze. Besides the occasional game of pool and their shared love of tattooing, May and Duke sometimes went fishing together. They used a white plastic bucket to carry their bait. Can you believe that? A white plastic bucket.
I just vomited in my mouth.
Yeah. So
a little bit.
He, again, a good guy, opening his heart, his tricks, his craft to Duke. So here we go. On Tuesday, January 16th, 5 days after Jan left May's house for the last time, one of Greg May's neighbors saw the woman Jan Bauman knew as Julie Ann Johnson loading some of Gregory's things into a yellow Ford Rider moving truck.
Julie, the chick that lives in the basement, she's loading up Greg's things.
Correct. So a neighbor saw Julie Ann Johnson loading some of his things into basically a yellow moving truck. An acquaintance had helped Duke carry a large replica of a clipper ship from the house.
Oh.
Into the truck went bayonets, canteens, 140-year-old newspaper clippings, vintage and modern guns, medals, and engravings. Duke told the landlord that he and May were going to break the lease and that we're leaving town.
Yeah, they were.
He gave away all of May's furniture to neighbors, and then they drove off into the sunset.
That is so bad.
Sold all his furniture. Loaded up all his stuff.
Those are terrible people.
Terrible people.
Anyway.
And at this point, we don't even know what has gone down in the house. What the hell happened?
All I know is he's gone. Where's his stuff?
What's happening?
Where's his stuff going?
So in the early 2000s, in this little town of Bellevue, Iowa, I mean, crime was pretty much minor. Small-time thefts, traffic violations. But Don and Shannon, they're like, something has happened to our dad. Like, this is not him just going away for a while to breathe and to get away and take a break. And so they pressed the Bellevue, Iowa police hard enough that they got the State Division of Criminal Investigation involved.
Okay.
So good for them.
That's good. Yes. Good for them.
I'm learning too in a lot of this that families really have to advocate for themselves.
Oh my goodness.
So much. And it's sad.
That is sad. They have to do a lot of work to provide justice to whomever they have lost. I mean, a lot of work.
Yes.
And
it's a shame.
And you know what? Well, we can get into it some other time, but just how quickly some of these cases go cold. It's kind of bullshit, because you could spend some more time on a few of these that I've been looking over the last couple of weeks. And
it's just how awful and frustrating to be families dealing with that.
Yes.
So they were like, we need more help. And luckily the Bellevue police listened. So as they started looking, they found zero record of a Julie and Doug Johnson, which is how Julie and Duke were known around town. So, so we're finding out now Duke Moose is actually Doug Johnson, and Julie is Julie Johnson. But when they try to look up those names, there's no record of those names. And the police didn't have any plates to run for the moving truck that they saw because they didn't get the plates. So, but they did get a lead on his missing car. So remember, he had a 1996 red Chevy Blazer.
Yes.
That Jan, of course, noticed was missing, and it had Wisconsin plates. So it was pretty, here in Missouri, so pretty, there's Wisconsin plates. And they actually ended up finding it abandoned in a parking lot 145 miles away in Aurora, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And listen to this. Guess what's inside?
Inside this
car.
red Chevy
the car.
Blazer?
They find what's inside.
Oh gosh, a body? I don't know.
No, thank goodness. Not a body, but they do find inside Greg's Chevy Blazer his keys and wallet.
His keys to what?
House, vehicle, and then his wallet inside the truck.
Okay.
So, that's definitely not a good sign.
No, that is a very, very, very bad sign.
So they track Duke/Moose/Doug, Dougie Doug.
Duke, Moose, and Doug.
Yes. So they track Duke through a part-time job he held in Galena, Illinois for a while, which was a tattoo shop. Mm-hmm. And they learned that his name is Doug or Douglas, but his last name is DeBrun.
DeBrun?
DeBruin.
So his name is Douglas
DeBrun. Dougie Doug DeBrun. And he was already on parole for weapons possession and domestic assault in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So
he's a great guy.
Yeah. And like I said, this is someone who's been friends with
for over 30 years.
Yes. And so, Greg probably knew he had a criminal history of some kind.
Sure. I'm sure he told him.
Yeah.
Yes,
and again,
probably
still super accepting. So, okay. So now back in California, this is so interesting. A sharp-eyed friend of
a sharp-eyed friend,
like sharp, like a spotting things.
Yes.
I'm good at spotting things. A friend of Gregory's was looking at a brochure from an auction company in Illinois that specializes in antique firearms and military artifacts. So this was, I think they probably right away were like, we might need to start scoping out like what's happened to his things. Yeah. So I don't know if this is something they looked at normally or whatever, but he was looking at this and he's like, Don, look at this. Don could not believe what he saw. He saw in this auction company's magazine 70 pieces from his dad's collection.
That doesn't scream guilty. I don't know what does.
Yes, 70 pieces, historic items that he had known since his childhood, that had been in his dad.
There he is. He's just looking at
He's
them.
like, these. I grew up looking at these items from his dad's collection listed for sale. And in his mind, he was like, my dad would never, ever get rid of these artifacts. Like,
not in this way.
Not in this manner. Yeah. He would never do that. And I think for Don, this was a huge, oh shit moment. Like, I think it had gotten real, but now
I think his heart started beating really, really fast when he just saw one piece.
Oh, exactly. Much less.
70 pieces. Could you imagine going to an auction or something and just picking up all of a sudden in your mind that, oh my gosh, that's all my dad's stuff.
Yes.
It's all my dad's stuff.
Yes.
Like, how did they get my dad's stuff?
Right. Or this friend looking at this magazine of Greg's, an old friend of Greg's, looking and going, I know those pieces.
I know all 70 of those pieces.
Yes.
That's a lot.
So, okay. Whew. All right. So here we go. The police questioned the auction house, this magazine auction house, and they learned that a woman identifying herself as none other than Julie Johnson had told the auction house that her uncle had died and left her and her mom all this cool and impressive Confederate swords, Civil War era uniforms, valued at more than $70,000. $70,000.
Biatch.
Yeah. So crazy. So the paperwork that the auction house shows them says that the items went up for sale for a Mary Klar, Klar, in Webster, Wisconsin.
They were sold to who?
So when they looked at the paperwork, it looked like that the person who officially put the items up for sale were Mary Klar, Klar, from Webster, Wisconsin. Come to find out, that's Julie's mom.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
So, and come to find out, of course, Julie Johnson is not her real name. Her real name is Julie Miller.
Okay, so we're dealing with Doug
DeBrun
instead of Doug Johnson.
Correct.
And Julie is now Julie Miller. And
Correct.
she used to be Julie Johnson. Why do people always use Johnson as their fake last
Well,
name?
I don't think I was going to say, I don't think, So she's definitely wasn't a Johnson, but made up Johnson. Yeah. Why? They're like, Johnson, Smith,
Miller,
Jones.
Yeah. Brown.
I mean, but she is actually Julie Miller, and her mom is Mary Clark. So in April 2001, investigators are like, Mary, what the hell's going on? So they drive to Wisconsin, 7 hours, and they told Mary, a man is missing. We are missing a man, and your daughter's boyfriend is a person of interest. Dougie Doug is going down possibly, and we need to know, where is Julie? Where is Doug?
Yes.
Mary said, I'll tell you. Julie is with DeBrune, and they are living in the back of that Ryder Ford rental truck in a trailer park in Flagstaff, Arizona. Go get them. So Mary was not helping her daughter.
So she was covering up for her.
No. Mary knew none of this was happening.
Oh, she really thought that they were...
Julie used her mom's name and a story regarding her mom and her uncle dying to the auction house to get them to buy these things from them.
Got it.
But Mary, the mom, knew nothing about this.
She really was completely...
No, she was completely, like, she gets there and they're like, hey, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know where my daughter's at. Okay. And she's with this guy. So on April 10th, 2001, so this has been about 4 months now since the bucket and the skull were found. Miller and DeBrune were arrested in Flagstaff, Arizona. When they went through the Ryder truck, it contained a notebook with an inventory of May's collection. So a notebook that had all the inventory, Civil War antiques, including one rifle that was worth $10,000, a Confederate sword that was worth $15,000, and other items the pair had claimed Greg May had, listen to this, given them.
They claimed that he gave them those things?
Yes. And they said, we have no idea where May might be. He just up and disappeared and gave you his stuff and that's it? No. Inside the truck, investigators also found a green jacket belonging to Doug, and there was a very suspicious looking stain on the lower part of the right sleeve.
And I'm hoping they tested that out.
So we will find out shortly. So very suspicious. Good to know, though. Doug, Julie, arrested. You know what, guys? That has been a lot of information for one day.
Agreed.
And a lot of details. And, sometimes our episodes will be two-parters because we want to make sure we give you all the info. So this one...
And correct information.
Yes, and we don't want to rush it. We want to do our due diligence. So we are going to stop here for part 1.
And we're going to get out of the closet.
We're going to take a breather out of the closet, but we will be bringing part 2 of Gregory May to you next week. If you found this episode something you're interested in, remember, make sure to subscribe to Misery Mayhem, Mystery and Murder. You can leave us a review, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Patreon. You can listen to us anywhere you want to, but we're so glad to have you as our listeners. So Missouri to the Midwest, we're going to keep bringing you stories of mystery and mayhem. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and thank you for listening. Missouri, you bring the mystery.
And we'll bring the mayhem.
Peace out.
Peace out.